And here in Indy with Albert Breer. And Albert, we heard yesterday head coach Pete Carroll, GM John Spytek, first time here in the mix as the new brass with the silver and black. I'm kind of curious, just the general takeaway from the league as a whole with those two guys coming in now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, well, first of all, I think, with Pete coming in, obviously the biggest question is age, but, his ability to build a program and establish something that's very identifiable, when you see it, I think is there, and, he brings instant credibility. And so, you have that in the roster. I think you put together a really good coaching staff and holding over Pat Graham, and then, getting Chip Kelly out of Ohio State. And then, I mean, with John, as the GM, he's been prepared for this for a while. And if anything, this happened a year or two late, not a year or two early. So he's young, but he's thoroughly prepared and ready for the job. And, I think that Tampa organization, what they did over the last decade, is really impressive if you go in and look at it, and the way they were able to sort of pivot through different strategies. They were an older team when Tom was there. They were able to come out of it and turn the roster over and become one of the youngest teams in the league and still make the playoffs in their first 2 years post-Tom. It's actually interesting if you really drill down on it and look at it. They came out of their Tom Brady era a lot cleaner than the Patriots came out of theirs. And a lot of that has to do with the personnel department. Spytek was a big factor in putting the team together.
Speaking of Tom Brady, both Pete and John were so effusive in their praise of Tom and talked about what a valuable asset he is to not only the team on the field, but the whole operation there in Las Vegas. I mean, in like a really kind of stating the obvious way, like what does it mean for this group, the coaching staff and the entire front office, to have a guy like Tom Brady there as a resource? Well,
I think that there's the intrinsic value of it, which part of it is being able to attract minority owners. You know what I mean? Bringing in the guys that they brought in. One of them obviously is his business partner, Tom Wagner, but Egan Durbin. I know you guys are familiar with that name. Pouring resources into the operation, and we've already seen some of those resources put to work, right? So Chip Kelly's making $6 million a year. I don't know if the Raiders do that 3 or 4 years ago. Just making the Raiders a destination for these minority owners who are going to help really kind of take the team to the next level in that department, I think was big. And then I think there's a formula for winning that he, it's not understands isn't even the right word. It's it in New England sort of, and Tampa became who he was. And in a lot of ways, he was the person who was creating so much of what put them in a position wherever he went to win and contend for championships. And so, I mean, I think the world of Tom Brady. I think he's going to have a really positive effect there. He's not going to be there day to day because his family's still in Florida and all of that. But, I know he made a promise to those guys when they came aboard that this is going to be a new day for the organization. I think to this point, everyone there has already felt it.
And we talk about this team taking the next level. In order to do that, they have to figure out the quarterback position, right? It's not even a secret. It's the obvious kind of elephant in the room. When you look at the Raiders and where they sit at 6, and the rumors and the rumblings of them connected to guys in free agency, how do you think ultimately this plays out for the silver and black?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting going back to November and December. There was a feeling that the Raiders were going to be under a mandate to take a quarterback in the first round. I don't know if that's there anymore. I do think to some degree the football people will be a little more insulated than they were before because of Brady. I think the good thing is they have some options here. I think Sam Darnold would be a really good fit if he does hit the market and they're willing to pay the freight for him. I think because of the athlete he is, because he's at his best when he's playing fast. Chip Kelly, I think, would be able to create something that would really work for him. And if you do that, does that free you up to use the 6th overall pick on something else? Whether it's Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan, or Will Campbell, the tackle from LSU, or Jalen Walker, the edge rusher from Georgia. You should have some really good options. And it's not a great year to be picking the top 10, but you can come away with a solid player. And if you have the quarterback position tied up ahead of that, you can look at Shedeur and Cam if one of them were to fall to you, but you don't have to be married to the idea of just forcing a pick on one.
You know, before we let you go, like, I'm always so interested, especially this week here in Indy, like, what are you intrigued by? Like, what are the kind of the storylines, the things that you kind of want answers to, but by the time we leave at the end of the week?
I think like the big picture league stuff is important this week because everybody's here in one place. And so, you know, where does Matthew Stafford end up? How do those dominoes fall? There are, you know, some trade names out there that are floating around. You know, Myles Garrett's the biggest one. You know, I don't think Cleveland's going to trade him, but it's at least a discussion point this week. You know, and then I think, like, just as far as like the college guys, I think Travis Hunter's about as interesting a prospect as I've seen in 20 years covering the league. So you know, I think this class lacks a little bit in star power at the top. You know, you do have interesting quarterbacks that aren't at the level of last year's quarterbacks. And you have the Hunter storyline, which you know, I think will be fun to talk about over the next couple of months.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we appreciate your time. We'll be watching and listening, and go have some fun this week in Indy.
Awesome. Thanks, man.